Welcome back to Z Coins. We dive deep into the world of rare coins and hidden treasures right in your pocket change. Today, we are uncovering the top 8 most valuable Abraham Lincoln penny coins that are worth a fortune. Some of these pennies have been sold for thousands and even millions of dollars. If you have one of these sitting in a drawer or a coin jar, you might be holding a life-changing amount of money, so stay with us until the very end and see if you might just be a millionaire without knowing. Ituri diving deep into the 1973 1-cent penny featuring none other than Abraham Lincoln. You might think it's just a regular old penny, but some versions of this coin can be worth a surprising amount of money today. Now let's start with a little background. The Lincoln cent has been in circulation since 1909. It was introduced to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it's become one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. The obverse of the coin shows Lincoln's profile, while the reverse up until 1958 showed 2 wheat ears. In 1959, it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial in honor of the 150th anniversary of his birth. Fast forward to 1973, and the coin was still going strong. That year, the U.S. Mint produced the penny in 3 different facilities: Philadelphia, which minted coins with no mint mark; Denver, which used a small D mint mark; and San Francisco, which struck proof coins with an S mint mark. In terms of mintage, the numbers were massive. Philadelphia pumped out over 3.5 billion of these pennies. Denver came in with more than 3.5 billion as well. San Francisco produced about 2.7 million proof coins. So as you can tell, the coin is far from rare in its standard form, but here's where it gets interesting. Even though the regular circulation versions are very common, there are rare errors and high-grade versions that can fetch real money in the collector's market. Let's talk about some of those valuable types. First up, high-grade coins. A 1973 penny in near-perfect condition, graded MS67, read by PCGS or NGC, can be worth between $100 and $250. That's because most coins from that year show signs of wear pretty quickly. Finding one with strong luster, sharp details, and no contact marks is difficult. Next, error coins. These are where the big money can start to show up. One of the most popular errors is the double die. If you find a 1973 penny with doubling in the word liberty or in the date, hold on to it. Collectors love these, and they can bring anywhere from $100 to over $500 depending on the severity and condition. Another example is off-center strikes. If your 1973 penny is missing part of the design because it was struck off-center, that's a classic mint error. The more off-center it is without losing important details like the date or Lincoln's face, the higher the value. Some of these can bring in $50 to $150. Then there's the famous clipped planchet error. That's when a piece of the coin is missing, like a bite was taken out of it. Depending on how much is clipped and how clean the error is, you might get $30 to $100 or more. But what about the proof coins? The 1973 Lincoln proof penny is not super rare, but collectors pay attention to condition. If you have one graded PR69 or PR70 deep cameo by PCGS or NGC, that coin could be worth $30 to $100. The contrast between the frosted design and the mirror-like background is what adds value. So what's the takeaway here? If you've got a 1973 penny in your drawer, it's probably worth 1 cent, but if it's in brilliant condition or has a cool mint error, it might be worth a lot more. And don't forget, even common pennies can be valuable in bulk if they're all in uncirculated condition. Collectors and dealers sometimes pay premiums for rolls of uncirculated 1973 cents. Now let's quickly talk about copper value. Unlike newer pennies, which are mostly zinc, the 1973 penny is 95% copper. So now the melt value is over 2 cents. But before you go melting down your coins, remember it's illegal to do so in the US. Still, it's interesting to note that the metal content alone makes it worth more than face value. To wrap things up, here's what to look for. Check the mint mark. Examine the coin under a magnifier for doubling. Look for clean, shiny surfaces with no scratches. If the coin looks weird or damaged in a strange way, it might actually be a valuable mint error. And if you think you've got something special, consider getting it graded by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGCA. Certified grade can increase the value significantly and make it easier to sell. We are diving deep into the fascinating story of the 1974 1-cent Lincoln penny, a small coin with a big history, and for some collectors it is worth more than just a single cent. If you have a penny collection, or if you are curious about how an everyday object can turn into a collectible worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, then stay tuned as we explore the historical background, the minting variations, and the current market value of the 1974 Lincoln penny. First, let us start with some context. The Abraham Lincoln penny, also known as the Lincoln Memorial Cent, was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The design features a profile of Lincoln on the obverse side, which has become one of the most iconic images in American coinage. The reverse side originally featured 2 stalks of wheat, which later changed in 1959 to the Lincoln Memorial design to mark the 150th anniversary of his birth. Now fast forward to the year 1974, a time when inflation was rising and the cost of producing copper coins was becoming a concern for the United States Mint. In response to this economic pressure, the Mint began experimenting with alternative metals for the penny. Most 1974 pennies were struck in their standard composition, which was 95% copper and 5% zinc, but a few experimental coins were struck using aluminum. These aluminum pennies were not meant for circulation but were created as trial pieces to test how the new material would perform. This decision was made because copper prices were increasing rapidly and the Mint was looking for a cheaper substitute that could reduce costs. Here is where it gets really interesting. Around 1.5 million of these aluminum 1974 pennies were reportedly struck by the Philadelphia Mint, but nearly all of them were destroyed after Congress objected to the idea of changing the composition. The aluminum coins were too light and posed issues for vending machines and detection by coin-counting machines. They were also considered a potential hazard since aluminum is hard to detect on X-rays, which could be a problem if swallowed. The Mint requested that all of the test pieces be returned and destroyed. However, a few of these coins are believed to have escaped into the public and collectors' hands, and that is what makes them so rare and valuable today. To this day, there are only a few verified examples of the 1974 aluminum penny known to exist, and they have become the holy grail for penny collectors. In fact, one specimen was at the center of a legal dispute between the U.S. government and a former Mint employee's son who had inherited the coin. The government argued the coin was never officially released and therefore should not be privately owned. While the case did not lead to widespread circulation of aluminum pennies, it reignited interest in the 1974 Lincoln cent and raised questions about what other treasures might still be out there. Now let us get back to the more common 1974 Lincoln pennies, the ones that were made from copper. These pennies were minted at 3 locations: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. If your penny has no mint mark, it was struck in Philadelphia. A D mint mark means it came from Denver, and an S mint mark indicates San Francisco. While most 1974 copper pennies are extremely common and only worth face value in circulated condition, there are certain examples and errors that can command much higher prices. Some of the most sought-after varieties include double die errors, off-center strikes, and high-grade uncirculated examples with full red color. A double die error occurs when the coin die is engraved with a doubled image leading to letters and numbers that appear slightly duplicated under magnification. These errors are rare and collectible, especially when they involve the date or the motto "In God We Trust." Another valuable version of the 1974 penny is a perfectly struck coin that grades MS67 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. These coins have sharp details, full original luster, and no wear marks, which makes them highly desirable for registry sets. So how much can a 1974 penny be worth today? Let us talk about market values. As of the latest coin auctions and collector sales, a standard 1974 Lincoln cent in circulated condition is worth about 1 cent or slightly more to copper scrap buyers, since it contains about 2 cents worth of metal at today's prices. However, it is illegal to melt pennies for profit, so this value remains theoretical. But for coins in brilliant uncirculated condition, collectors will pay between 5 cents and a few dollars depending on the grade. A certified MS65 red 1974 penny can sell for around $5 to $15, while an MS67 red specimen might reach prices of $50 or more. That said, the real money is in rare error coins and unique minting mistakes. A high-grade double die or off-center 1974 penny can sell for $100 to several $100s depending on rarity and demand. And of course, let us not forget about the legendary 1974 aluminum penny. If you were to find one of these ultra-rare coins and somehow it passed legal scrutiny, it could be worth anywhere from $250,000 to well over $1 million based on past appraisals and expert estimates. That is right, a 1-cent coin that could buy you a house. But let us be honest, the odds of finding one of those are slimmer than winning the lottery. Still, the excitement of checking your pocket change and the thrill of the hunt keeps collectors coming back every day. Before we wrap up, here are a few quick tips for checking your 1974 pennies. First, look at the mint mark and check if it is DS or blank for Philadelphia. Then inspect the coin under good lighting for any signs of doubling or unusual features. Use a jeweler's loupe or magnifying glass for closer inspection. Finally, compare your coin to reference images from trusted coin grading websites or submit it to a professional grading service if you think you have something special. So, in conclusion, while the 1974 Lincoln penny is mostly a common coin found in millions of pockets and jars across America, there are rare versions that could be worth a surprising amount of money. Whether it is a mint error, a high-grade coin, or an experimental aluminum version, the potential value of this little coin is a reminder that history and treasure can be hiding in plain sight. We're diving deep into the story of the 1976 Lincoln 1-cent penny. You've probably seen this coin before, maybe you've even got a few in your pocket or in a jar somewhere. But did you know that some 1976 pennies could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on their condition and minting errors? That's right. Something that seems so ordinary might just be a hidden treasure. Before we talk about the value, let's go back to where it all began. The Lincoln penny has been around for more than a century. First minted in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the penny became the first regular-issue United States coin to feature a real person. Up until then, U.S. coins only had symbols and representations, but the Lincoln penny changed all that. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the original coin featured Lincoln's profile on the obverse side and two wheat stalks on the reverse side. In 1959, the wheat design was replaced with the Lincoln Memorial to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. That reverse design stayed in place through 2008, and that brings us to the 1976 penny. Now you might be wondering why the 1976 penny is special. After all, millions and millions of them were minted. In fact, more than 4.6 billion Lincoln Memorial cents were struck in Philadelphia alone in 1976 and nearly 4.3 billion in Denver. So they are not rare by numbers. But like many coins, their true value isn't just about how many were made. It's about the details, the condition, and the possible errors. Let's start with the basics. The 1976 penny is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. It weighs 3.11 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters. Unlike coins made after 1982, which contain mostly zinc, the 1976 penny has intrinsic metal value due to its high copper content. Even in poor condition, a 1976 penny is worth more than face value just because of the copper. As of now, the melt value of the copper in the coin is around 2 to 3 cents. But that's just the beginning. What really drives up the value of a 1976 penny is its condition. A coin that is worn from circulation might only be worth a few cents. But a coin in brilliant, uncirculated, or mint state condition, especially one graded by a professional coin grading service, can fetch significantly more. Collectors are always on the lookout for high-grade examples, especially those rated MS-65 or higher. A 1976 Lincoln penny graded MS-65 by PCGS or NGC can sell for up to $5 to $20 depending on the market. But there's more. Some of these coins are worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, not just for their grade, but for their mint errors. Let's talk about those errors. Error coins are like hidden gems, and they are highly prized by collectors. For the 1976 penny, there are several known errors that increase value dramatically. One example is the doubled die obverse. This happens when the coin is struck with a die that has been engraved with the design twice slightly offset, causing the features of the coin to appear doubled. A 1976 double die Lincoln cent can sell for over $100 to several $100 depending on how dramatic the doubling is and how good the condition is. Another valuable error is the off-center strike. That's when the coin is not properly aligned during minting and part of the design is missing. The more off-center the strike, the more valuable the coin, especially if the date is still visible. Coins with a 40 to 60% off-center strike and full date can easily reach values over $100. Then there are clipped planchets where a piece of the coin is literally missing because of a cutting error during the blanking process. These are rare and their value depends on the size and shape of the clip. Some sell for $50 or more. Now let's get into some of the top auction prices ever recorded for the 1976 Lincoln penny. According to coin auction databases, a 1976 Lincoln Center graded Mississippi 67 red sold for over $2,500 at auction. Another example with near-perfect luster and no contact marks brought over $1,000 in a private sale. So yes, while most 1976 pennies you come across are worth just a few cents, if you happen to find one in pristine condition or with a rare mint error, it could be worth a lot more than you think. If you want to check your own 1976 pennies, here's what you need to look for. First, check the mint mark. Coins from Philadelphia have no mint mark. Denver coins have a small D under the year. San Francisco also produced proof coins with an S mint mark in very limited quantities, and those were not meant for circulation. Proof coins are made using special dyes and polishing techniques, and they have a mirror-like finish. If you have a 1976 S-proof penny in perfect condition, especially if it's graded PR69 Deep Cameo or better, it could sell for $50 to $100 or more. Next, examine the coin carefully under a magnifying glass. Look for any signs of doubling, especially in the date or in the lettering. Look for off-center strikes, clips, or any unusual shapes. Check the color and luster. Red pennies which have retained their original copper color are more valuable than brown or red-brown ones. And of course, consider getting your coin professionally graded if you think it's in outstanding condition. Grading adds authentication and increases buyer trust. So to wrap it all up, the 1976 Lincoln penny might seem like just another old coin, but it carries history, copper, and potential value all in one. Whether it's because of its metal content, mint condition, or rare error, your humble penny might be a collector's dream. So go through your coin jars, check your pocket change, and don't overlook this little piece of history. Could be worth more than you ever imagined. We uncover hidden treasures in your pocket change. Today, we're diving deep into a coin you might not expect to be valuable, the 1990 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny. If you have one of these in your collection or even in a jar somewhere at home, you may want to check it carefully, because some versions of this coin could be worth far more than just 1 cent. Let's explore the story behind the 1990 penny, its minting history, rare varieties to look for, and what it might be worth in today's market. Section 1. Background of the Lincoln penny. The Lincoln cent has been in circulation since 1909. It was first introduced to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. The coin was designed by Victor David Brenner and was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. From 1909 to 1958, the reverse featured 2 wheat stalks, which is why these early coins are called wheat pennies. In 1959, to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth and the 50th anniversary of the coin, the reverse design was changed to the Lincoln Memorial. That reverse design lasted until 2008. The coin we are talking about today, the 1990 penny, belongs to this Lincoln Memorial era. It features the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, with the Lincoln Memorial building on the reverse. Section 2. What does the D mean? The letter D stands for the Denver Mint, where the coin was struck. In 1990, the United States Mint struck billions of pennies, with the vast majority coming from the Philadelphia and Denver mints. The Denver Mint is known for producing coins with the D mint mark placed just below the year. So when you look at a 1990 penny and see a small D underneath the date, you're looking at one made in Denver. Section 3. Composition of the 1990 D penny. The 1990 D penny is made of copper-plated zinc. Since mid-1982, pennies have been primarily made of 97.5% zinc and just 2.5% copper. That change occurred due to rising copper prices in the early 1980s. So unless you find an error coin, your 1990 D penny is probably made of zinc with a very thin copper coating. Section 4. Common value of the 1990 D penny. Most 1990 D pennies are extremely common. In circulated condition, their value is usually just 1 cent. Even in uncirculated condition, most are worth around 10 to 20 cents. So for most examples, there's not much extra value. However, and this is where it gets exciting, there are rare versions, errors, and high-grade examples that can be worth a lot more money. Section 5. Key rarity, the 1990 No-S proof penny. Now, before we go deeper into the Denver coin, we need to mention a closely related coin that gets collectors very excited, the 1990 No-S proof penny. While this particular version was not minted in Denver, it's part of the 1990 story. Some proof pennies from 1990 were struck at the San Francisco Mint but were accidentally released without the S mint mark. These are rare and have sold for thousands of dollars. One such 1990 No-S penny sold for over $20,000 at auction. Now back to the 1990 D. Although it does not have the specific mint mark error, it has its own hidden gems. Section 6. Errors and varieties to look for. Coins are what make some of these pennies truly valuable. For the 1990 D penny, here are the types of errors that can increase its value. First, look for off-center strikes. These are coins that were not properly aligned when struck, resulting in a design that is shifted off the surface. The more off-center, the more valuable, especially if the date is still visible. Next, double die errors. This happens when the coin is struck twice with slightly different alignments. On a double die 1990D penny, you may see doubling in the letters of the motto "In God We Trust" or in the word "Liberty." These coins can sell for $50 to $100 or more depending on the strength of the doubling and the condition. Also, broad strikes and clipped planchets are highly collectible. These errors occur when the coin is not properly formed in the collar or when the metal blank is cut incorrectly. These can range from $5 to $50 in value. Another thing to check for is die cracks, which can create raised lines on the coin surface. Though not always valuable, certain dramatic cracks can increase a coin's worth to collectors. Section 7. High-grade 1990D pennies. Sometimes, the value is not in an error but in the condition. Coins that are graded MS67 or higher by companies like PCGS or NGC are considered superb quality. For the 1990D penny, high-grade examples can bring in anywhere from $50 to over $100, and sometimes even more if there is no wear and the coin has perfect luster and color. Keep in mind, coins must be professionally graded to bring top dollar. Eye appeal, sharpness of the strike, and absence of scratches or spots are all critical factors. Section 8. How to check if your penny is valuable. To determine if your 1990D penny is worth more than face value, here are some steps you can take. First, check for visible errors. Look at the coin under a magnifying glass or a microscope. Pay attention to the date, mint mark, and lettering. Second, evaluate the condition. Is it shiny with no scratches or dents? Is the edge clean? If so, it might qualify for a high grade. Third, weigh the coin. A standard 1990D penny should weigh about 2.5 grams. If it weighs significantly more, it may have been struck on the wrong planchet, which could mean big money. Fourth, consult with a coin dealer or submit your coin to a grading service if you think it might be rare or in mint condition. Section 9. Current market prices and auction results. Now, what are these coins selling for today? As of recent auctions, most 1990D pennies in regular condition sell for 1 to 5 cents. In brilliant uncirculated condition, they may fetch 10 to 20 cents. But a certified MS67 red penny from 1990 with the D mint mark can sell for as much as $100 or more. Double die errors can range from 50 to several hundred depending on the severity. Major off-center errors or clipped planchets can go for similar amounts. While the no mint mark proof coin grabs headlines with its multi-$1,000 price tags, even the humble Denver penny from 1990 has the potential to surprise you if you know what to look for. Conclusion. So there you have it, the full story of the 1990D Abraham Lincoln penny. While most are common, hidden among them are valuable error coins, high-grade examples, and collectible varieties. Always check your change carefully. You never know, a coin that seems ordinary could be a rare gem. We're diving deep into the 2002 Lincoln 1-cent penny. You might be surprised to learn that this common-looking copper coin could be worth more than just 1 cent. That's right. If you know what to look for, some of these pennies are valued at hundreds or even thousands of dollars today depending on certain factors. So grab your change jar and get ready, because by the end of this video, you might just be checking your coins a little more closely. Let's begin with a quick history. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin was the first U.S. currency to feature a real person's portrait. For over a century now, Lincoln has remained on the obverse side of the penny, making this one of the longest-running coin series in American history. Now let's zoom in to the year 2002. This year marked another regular strike of the Lincoln Memorial reverse design, which had been used since 1959. That's the image of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., located on the backside of the coin, with tiny details that, in high grades, remain impressively sharp. The obverse still features the bust of Abraham Lincoln facing right with the words, "In God We Trust" above, "Liberty" on the left, and the year 2002 on the right. These coins were minted at 2 major U.S. mints: the Philadelphia Mint, which struck coins without a mint mark, and the Denver Mint, which used the D mint mark. Both versions of the 2002 penny were produced in the hundreds of millions. In fact, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 3.2 billion pennies, while the Denver Mint produced over 3.1 billion. That's more than 6 billion pennies from just 1 year. So with so many coins in circulation, what makes any 2002 Lincoln penny valuable? The answer lies in errors, varieties, and condition. Let's talk about error coins first. These are pennies that left the mint with mistakes. One popular error to look out for is the off-center strike, where the design is not properly centered on the coin. Depending on how far off it is and how visible the date remains, this kind of error penny can sell for anywhere from $5 to over $50. The more dramatic the error, the higher the value. Another error to look for is the double die, where the coin was struck more than once with a misaligned die, causing some elements of the design to appear doubled. On the 2002 penny, you might notice doubling in the date, the word liberty, or in the phrase "In God We Trust." If you find one of these, it could be worth several $100s, especially in uncirculated condition. One rare and exciting type is the broad strike error. This occurs when a coin is struck outside the retaining collar, causing it to spread out wider than normal. These can bring in between $20 and $100 or more depending on the severity and overall preservation. Let's now talk about condition. Collectors use the Sheldon coin grading scale, which ranges from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin. Most coins found in circulation grade around 20 to 40. But if you find a 2002 penny that looks nearly flawless, with no scratches or wear and sharp details under magnification, it could grade MS65 or higher. MS stands for mint state, and coins graded MS65 and above are especially sought after. So what is the market value for a 2002 Lincoln penny today? Most circulated examples are only worth face value, just 1 cent. But a flawless 2002 Lincoln cent graded MS67 by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC can be worth $30 to $100. In rare cases, coins with exceptional qualities or stunning red color toning have sold for over $200 at auction. If you think you've found a valuable penny, the next step is to handle it carefully. Avoid touching the surface directly, use gloves or hold it by the edges. Place it in a protective coin flip or capsule and consider submitting it to a third-party grading service for certification. That will increase its value and make it easier to sell to a serious collector. And don't forget about proof coins. In 2002, the San Francisco Mint struck a limited number of proof Lincoln cents for collectors, marked with an S mint mark. These coins were never intended for circulation and came in special proof sets. Proof coins have mirror-like surfaces and sharp design details. If you have one in pristine condition, especially still in its original packaging, it could be worth $5 to $20 or more. To wrap up, the 2002 Lincoln penny may look like an ordinary coin, but hidden gems are out there. Whether it's a mint error, a rare variety, or a high-grade example, these tiny copper and zinc coins can be worth a surprising amount. The next time you get change back from a store, take a moment to look closely at your pennies. You never know what treasure might be hiding in plain sight. We dive deep into the fascinating world of coins, collectibles, and hidden treasures. Today, we're unlocking the mystery behind the 2003 D1 cent Abraham Lincoln penny, a coin that most people overlook but could be worth much more than just 1 cent. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector or someone who just found a shiny penny in your pocket change, this video might surprise you. Now let's rewind the clock and explore the story behind this little copper coin. The year is 2003. America is adjusting to a new century, technology is rapidly advancing, and the US Mint is still producing billions of pennies annually. But there's something unique about the Denver minted 2003 1-cent coin. First, let's talk about the design. The obverse, or front side, of the penny features the familiar profile of President Abraham Lincoln. His image has been on the cent since 1909, making it the longest-running portrait on a U.S. coin. Designed by Victor David Brenner, Lincoln's face has become an icon not only in American history but also in numismatics. Above Lincoln's head is the word Liberty, and to the right, the year 2003, followed by the tiny letter D, which stands for the Denver Mint. Flip the coin over and you'll see the Lincoln Memorial, a design that's been in use since 1959, replacing the earlier wheat ears reverse. Now here's where it gets interesting. While billions of these coins were struck, not all of them are created equal. The 2003 D penny, under specific conditions, can be worth a surprising amount. Most circulated examples are still only worth face value, just 1 cent. But high-quality, uncirculated coins or those with rare minting errors can fetch much more. So what makes some of these pennies valuable? Let's start with mint state grades. If a 2003 D penny is in perfect or near perfect condition, say MS 67 or higher according to the Sheldon grading scale, it becomes a key interest for collectors. In such pristine condition, the coin has strong luster, few if any visible marks, and sharp details. At auction, one of these can sell for as much as $10 to $20, and sometimes even more if the coin is exceptionally well preserved or certified by a grading service like PCGS or NGC. But the real jackpot comes when you find an error coin. These are the holy grail for coin hunters. Some 2003 D Lincoln cents have been found with off-center strikes, die cracks, double dies, or even coins struck on the wrong planchet. One such example is a coin with a double die obverse, where Lincoln's image or the inscriptions appear slightly doubled due to a misalignment in the minting process. These kinds of errors can dramatically increase a coin's value. Some error coins from 2003 have sold for hundreds of dollars, depending on rarity and condition. Another factor influencing value is demand. While the 2003 D penny isn't rare in the general sense, collectors often aim to build complete sets of Lincoln cents from every year and every mint. That creates steady demand for high-grade versions of this coin. Combine that demand with scarcity in higher grades or error types, and you've got the recipe for rising value. So what should you do if you think you have a valuable 2003 D penny? First, don't clean it. Cleaning a coin can damage its surface and reduce its value. Second, examine it under a magnifying glass for any signs of errors or unusual markings. If you think it might be valuable, consider sending it to a professional grading service. Getting your coin certified can add to its credibility and increase its selling price. Where can you sell it? Well, rare coin dealers, online marketplaces like eBay, and coin shows are great places to start. You'll want to do your research and compare your coin to similar ones that have sold recently. Remember, the value is often determined not just by rarity but also by timing and buyer interest. Now let's take a quick look at the current market value. As of now, circulated 2003 D pennies are typically worth between 1 and 3 cents. That's due to the copper-plated zinc composition, which has little intrinsic metal value. However, uncirculated coins in mint state can range from $5 to $25, with top examples fetching $50 or more. Error coins, depending on the severity and uniqueness of the error, can range from $50 to several $100 or more. In conclusion, the 2003 D Lincoln penny is a perfect example of how ordinary-looking coins can hide extraordinary stories. Whether it's a perfect mint state specimen or a bizarre minting error, there's more than meets the eye. So next time you get a penny in your change, don't just toss it in a jar. Take a closer look. You might be holding a tiny treasure worth far more than 1 cent. We're diving deep into a tiny coin that might just be hiding in your change jar. Right now we read talking about the 2010 D Lincoln penny, and you won't believe what makes it so special. Stick around because this 1 cent piece could be worth a whole lot more than face value. First, let's rewind a bit and talk about the story behind this little coin. The year is 2010. It's the first full year after the United States Mint wrapped up the Lincoln Bicentennial Series in 2009. That series celebrated Abraham Lincoln's 200th birthday with 4 different reverse designs highlighting major milestones in his life. In 2010, the Mint shifted to a brand new permanent design that honors Lincoln's preservation of the Union. Now here's where it gets interesting. On the reverse side of the 2010 penny, you'll find the Union shield. This design features a large vertical shield with 13 stripes representing the original colonies joined together under a horizontal bar that symbolizes federal unity. At the top is a bold scroll that reads 1 cent. This powerful imagery ties directly to Lincoln's legacy as the great unifier during the Civil War. The coin was designed by artist Lyndall Bass and sculpted by U.S. Mint engraver Joseph Menner. Its simplicity is striking, but don't let that fool you because the real magic lies in the mint mark and the condition. Now let's focus on the D Mint mark. The 2010 D Lincoln penny was struck at the Denver Mint and millions were made. So you might be thinking, how can this be valuable if there are so many? Well, it all comes down to condition, errors, and collector demand. First, let's talk about condition. If you happen to have a 2010 D penny in uncirculated condition, that means no scratches, no wear, no damage. You might be holding a coin worth $1 or $2. That's already a big jump from 1 cent, but here's where things get serious. In high mint state grades like MS 67 and above, the value can shoot up dramatically. These high-grade coins are rare because it's tough to keep a penny in pristine shape. From the time it leaves the mint, collectors will pay a premium for coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC. If your penny is graded MS67 red or better, it might sell for $30 to $100 or more depending on the demand. Even better is the presence of rare errors. That's right, some 2010 Lincoln pennies have minting mistakes that turn them into valuable collectibles. Keep an eye out for double dies. These happen when the coin is struck more than once and the design appears doubled. It's often easiest to spot on the lettering in words like Liberty or In God We Trust. If you have a double die, you're looking at potentially hundreds of dollars. There are also off-center strikes. These occur when the coin isn't properly aligned and part of the design is missing or shifted. The more off-center the strike and the more readable the date and mint mark, the higher the value. Die cracks or cuds, which are raised lines or blobs caused by a damaged die, can also increase value. These are often overlooked by people sorting through change, but error collectors love them. Now, let's talk market value. In 2025, currently circulated 2010 pennies without any special features are still only worth face value, but if you find one in mint state condition or with one of the errors we just talked about, you could be looking at a coin worth anywhere from $5 to over $500. Some high-grade specimens have even sold at auction for prices over $1,000, especially if they are top pop. That means the highest grade known for that specific mint and year. So what should you do if you think you have a valuable penny? First, get a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe and inspect the coin carefully. Look for sharp details, strong luster, and signs of doubling or cracks. If it looks promising, consider submitting it to a professional coin grading service. Yes, it costs money, but the payoff can be worth it. If your coin is a rare find, another option is to take it to a local coin dealer for an informal opinion. Just be sure to get a second opinion before selling to make sure you're getting fair value. So, what's the takeaway here? The 2010 Lincoln penny is more than just pocket change. It's a piece of history, a tribute to one of America's greatest presidents, and a hidden gem in the world of coin collecting. Even though billions were minted, only a small fraction are in the kind of pristine or error condition that makes them valuable. So check your change, roll your pennies, and start looking. You never know. If you've ever held a penny in your hand and thought it wasn't worth more than a cent, today's video might just blow your mind. We're diving into one of the most fascinating modern coins in your pocket, the 2012 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny. This is not just any penny. This humble little coin could actually be worth much more than its face value if you know what to look for. Let's take a deep dive into the history, the design, the mintage, the errors, and the jaw-dropping values some of these coins have fetched in the current market. So if you've got a jar full of change or if you're a beginner coin collector, this video is for you. Stay tuned to learn how a simple 2012 Lincoln penny might be hiding in plain sight and be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Let's start with a bit of history. The Lincoln cent has been in production since 1909, originally designed to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical person and not just a symbolic image. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the original Lincoln cent featured Lincoln's portrait on the obverse with wheat ears on the reverse. That changed in 1959 when the Lincoln Memorial was added. Then in 2009, the U.S. Mint introduced 4 special reverse designs to celebrate Lincoln's bicentennial, and the cent evolved again in 2010 with the debut of the shield reverse, which continues to this day. The 2012 penny carries the shield reverse and a modernized depiction of Lincoln on the obverse. This design pays tribute to Lincoln's legacy of preserving the Union and strengthening the federal government, with the shield symbolizing defense and unity. The obverse shows the same famous bust of Lincoln we're all familiar with, designed by Brenner and adapted slightly over the years. Now let's talk numbers. The U.S. Mint struck the 2012 Lincoln cent in 2 major locations, Philadelphia and Denver. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 5.8 billion pennies that year, while the Denver Mint struck about 4.4 billion. That's a total of over 10 billion pennies in circulation in 2012, which might make you wonder how any of them could be rare or valuable. But here's the secret: not all 2012 pennies are created equal. The reason some 2012 pennies are worth money has to do with special characteristics like high-grade condition, rare mint errors, and unusual striking varieties. In other words, while billions were made, only a handful have the traits collectors are willing to pay big money for. Let's talk about some of those. First, condition is everything. If you have a 2012 penny in uncirculated condition, or better yet, in a high mint state grade certified by a grading service like PCGS or NGC, it could be worth far more than 1 cent. For example, a 2012 penny graded MS68 red sold for over $500 at auction. That's right, a penny that was struck so perfectly and preserved so well that collectors fought over it because of its beauty. Even more exciting are mint errors and die varieties. One of the most sought-after types of error is a double die, where the design appears slightly doubled due to a misalignment in the minting process. While not every year features strong double dies, some 2012 pennies have been found with minor doubling or machine doubling, which, while not as valuable as true double dies, still intrigue collectors. Other valuable errors to look for include off-center strikes, clipped planchets, wrong planchet errors, and coins struck through grease or other foreign objects. These Errors are typically the result of something going wrong during the minting process, but they create unique, one-of-a-kind coins which can easily sell for $50 to several $100 depending on severity and visibility. Now let's talk about market value today. As of now in 2025, the market for error coins and high-grade modern pennies is stronger than ever, with inflation rising and more people turning to alternative investments. Coins like the 2012 Lincoln Cent are becoming popular among new collectors, especially on platforms like eBay, heritage auctions, and Facebook groups. It's not uncommon to see raw or uncertified coins with visible errors sell for $20 to $100, and professionally graded specimens go for even more. So what should you be looking for? Check your change jars, your coin rolls, and any bank bags you get from the bank. Look for pennies that are shiny red, have no visible wear, and no scratches or stains. These could be candidates for grading. Look closely under magnification for doubling in areas like the date Liberty and the motto In God We Trust. Examine both sides for anything that seems unusual or out of place. To sum it all up, while the 2012 Lincoln penny may seem like just another coin, it has the potential to be much more than pocket change with billions minted. Yes, most are worth face value, but the rare few in pristine condition or with striking errors can be worth real money. Some lucky collectors have found valuable coins in circulation, proving that treasures still exist right under our noses. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new about modern pennies, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more in-depth coin videos, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a future upload. Let us know in the comments if you've ever found a valuable coin, or if you're going to start hunting for those rare 2012 Lincoln Cents. You might just be holding a small fortune in your hands. Thanks for watching and happy collecting.